Going live over there. We're going live right there. And, well, you know what? Instagram not cooperating. Here we go. Boom, right there. Okay, everybody. We are live. We are live in a couple different channels. If you are on YouTube, I may not be able to hear any messages or see any messages from you. I'm still working on how all these different systems work. And if you are on Instagram, welcome back. Facebook, welcome back. Hopefully I am coming in loud and clear. It is Tuesday, Transformation Tuesday. It's always, well, I guess we only have one camera right there going. So every Tuesday at, hey, what's up, Marvin? 301 there. Every Tuesday, 5 p.m. Eastern Time, we go live and we are talking transformation. We are talking about personal growth. We're talking about health, healing, and awareness. We are talking about how to understand the secret language that our body, is always communicating with us. So yes, if you give me some thumbs up, give me some hearts, let me know that you can hear me. Let me know where you at in the world. I'm gonna have a sip of this coffee. Keeping the mojo, keeping the energy running tonight. Thanks for tuning in. Hopefully I'm coming in loud and clear. Hopefully it's not too many bugs or any weird noises coming through. I'm trying to look at a couple things at once. You know, I'm going to put out the intention out there for the universe. So we're going to be talking about intention today, but I'm going to put out an intention right there that I have a studio, that I have a team helping me manage my studio, because there's a lot of moving parts when it comes to chatting with people and being online and going about it in different ways. And yes, I can see comments. Thank you for joining. I'm Dr. Kevin. Let's get into the material today. Decode your pain. Now, that might be coming in backwards from where you're looking at. However, what I always do before I go live is I flip open to a page and I read what I'm going to be discussing today. And today we're talking about recognizing where you are your own worst enemy. Now, that's a bit of a mouthful, and sometimes we don't like to look at ourselves as the one who is being the enemy. However, we know that self-sabotage is a big topic. And specifically, when one is sharing their conversation with another, oftentimes there's this deep desire to reveal all that's going on, all the concerns, all the thoughts, and the thoughts, of course, lay on positive sides and negative sides of the argument of what is to be discussed, what is concerned. And not all the time is the other person, the other party, ready, willing, or able to hear what you have to say. See, they have life too. They're all going through things. And so this is very prominent in when I have discussions in my own life with people that I have close relationships with. It is true in all the patients I work with day by day and hear their stories of life and what's going on and their challenges of life. And we have expectations of ourselves, we have expectations of others that frankly put us in a very, very difficult situation to communicate with, to have that deep connection that we're needing to, as someone who needs healing from somebody else who's not ready to be in the position of the healer. So whenever we have a topic, we have a challenge that we want to bring up with somebody, we have to recognize they may not be ready to hear us. So hold on, let me pause here for a few moments. Let me see if you're getting some good feedback from us. If you're hearing me, give me some thumbs up. If you're getting some value, type in hashtag value. Let me know that you're coming in loud and clear, that you can hear me. I need to make sure you're getting some feedback from you. You know, today I'll pause on my story about communication, about listening, and about having expectations with talking about the energy of today. You see, there's the internal expectations that there's internal factors that we all have to deal with, but there's also external factors that we have to deal with. And so what I've been really focusing on in my personal studies, not just my professional studies, although they always intermix because I am I'm investigating how to help people holistically. No drugs, no surgery. How do we supply the body with what it needs, and how to release from the body what it doesn't want? And so what my job is to investigate the internal causes of health and wellness and the external factors that either detract or add to health and wellness. So I'm going to start on a really big scale and talk about the astrological, the planetary, and the cosmic influences that cause people some type of shift. Just like the weather causes you to have a shift, whether it's hot or it's cold or somewhere in between, the weather causes you to behave differently. Now, we can all adapt to that change. And so there's a bigger scale than the weather that I would like to inform you about. And most people, if they have dived into this topic, look at astronomy and astrology. Separate sciences, both really kind of discussing the same thing. One is discussing more about the positions and the gravitational forces on the planet, and the other one is talking about the consciousness, emotional, and life circumstances that are brought about because of those shifts. So that being said, we are in a lot of transformation. So 2019 itself is a transformative year, and we all are waking up towards our relationships, to our communication, how we go about getting what we want. Do we even go towards with what we want to move towards? Are we having bravery and overcoming ourselves? And to achieve these things in life that we all, I don't know what you want specifically, however, we all want things, and to attain, achieve, and ultimately manifest those things in our reality, we have to listen to the feedback, the clues in which we are getting feedback from life. And this is both, of course, in our personal relationships. This is also in the results of our actions. And of course, we have our internal feelings in how we respond to life's events. And so this is what I'm referring to right now, our internal feelings of how we feel our life's events are going. And our body is in constant communication, in constant informing us that if there's something in our mind that is blocking us, or if there's something that is out of alignment with ourself, we're getting these clues. And so in general, we can talk about our consciousness. This would, many people would have had this. If they steal something, they feel guilty, or they steal something, they feel on fire. They feel enlivened. There is a lot we can learn from ourselves, how we observe going through our day-by-day actions. And so this is what I wrote the book about. And in the back of the book, there's a fancy little chart here that talks about body parts, emotional feelings, and possible symbolism. So for example, people who have hand issues. Now there's a physical component to that, meaning there's something they did to the hand as an accident. There's something they do repetitively, of course. There's also a mental, emotional state. There's a metaphor to hands. Hands are what are hands used for? Take a guess. Consider for yourself, what are hands? These things, what are they used for? That's right. We pick things up with them. We can hold on to things with them, or we can let things go. We can do fine motor skills. We can work with jewelry. We can type on a keyboard. We can do big things. We can do small things. And so our hands are very metaphorical. So the question I oftentimes have for people is, what are you holding on to? Or what are you letting go? Or what are you not letting go? So these are all different variations on the kind of the same topic, though it's about holding on and letting go. Think about shoulders for a moment. What does shoulder symbolize? That's right, carrying the burden, carrying the load, shouldering the responsibility, or shouldering, you're pushing your way through on something, carrying responsibility. See, our body's full of metaphor. Think about feet, or heart, or your mind, or your head. They all have common sayings. They all have common ways that we refer to them. Most times just by offhanded. We just put the brakes on real fast, is a foot analogy, or we used to call my brother the head because he was smart. He thought a lot. So there's a lot of analogies where pain is located in our mind, in our body, and how we refer to that pain, how the story is that we're holding on to with surrounding a topic can ultimately lead to a symptom in that body part. Now, this is new information for you. If this is new, this is not new, okay? So if this is the first time you're hearing stuff like this is not new in any way. So where I have found the most detailed, deep study is in traditional Chinese medicine. Each organ or each meridian in that system has emotional analogies associated with it. There are a deep study of this in the, I believe it's the energy medicine community. I'm forgetting the one woman's name, but she had there's phenomenal charts related to body parts and states of thinking, states of being. And so every body part has an associated thought process. Different organs have multiple thoughts associated with them, and different body parts, like I just said, have different analogies that go along with them. So I want to play a little game with you for a second. I want you to try and experiment out while we're doing this. I want you to point to yourself. I want you to point to yourself. Now, many times when people are telling a story, they oftentimes, when they refer to themselves, they're pointing at themselves, and there's always one common place where this pointing is occurring. If anyone has an idea, if anyone takes a venture a guess, post your comment, and I'll see that. However, I'm going to reveal the answer in just a brief moment. So, I open the book every time I'm on live here to Code Your Pain. I pop open the book. We're talking about transformation here. Always talk about transformation. How do we become better in life? See, what are you transforming towards? Well, that's your vision. And in some of my programs, I go over how to set your vision. And however, we're not going to be talking about those programs today. What we're talking about now is where we are recognizing that we're our own worst enemy. And so when we're communicating our concerns, our challenges, our problems, where are they coming from? When someone is young, under the age of 9, really they are downloading what it's like to be a human being. And so our preferences, our tastes, our learning to live life and how to respond to life is taught to us. We simply download it from our immediate surroundings, our parents, our family members, the people that are responsible for us, like our teachers and physicians, and even our community, our neighborhood, what we're seeing on TV, what we're hearing in books. These all influence a young child that's under 9 how to live and operate in this world. And there can be many messed up things essentially programmed into a young person. There can be many things that we observe as a young person, and then later on in life, that's how we live. Many of our habits, many of our challenges, many of our bad behaviors are wired in before we are 9 years old, before we really have any conscious thought of what to do and how to do it. We just see it as that's the way life is. And so when we're going about and we're having a conflict with a friend or a loved one, and we're hearing their story, well, we're interpreting their story through our lens versus listening to understand. And sometimes when that person is sharing a story about their own experience, and that now we start to see things in a defensive way, then our anger comes out. And sometimes when that gate opens, wow, it's hard to reel it back in. If not impossible to reel it back in once that anger starts to be lashed out. It's like that the anger itself gets delicious and we want more of it. It's a little bit crazy. So we have to, as we are growing as a conscious individual, we have to take into account that our perceptions aren't the only perceptions, that our way of life isn't the only way of living our own way of life. And so the task, the work really is, where I first heard this, was in in church growing up. Where I heard this later on in life was reading a book by Stephen Covey, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, one of the best all-time business books, personal development books. The answer is, what I'm referring to here is, first seek to understand, then be understood. Soak that in for a minute. Have a sip of this wonderful coffee here. First, seek to understand, then be understood. See, this is actually a very difficult and challenging skill. I've been practicing it for more than 10 years now. And I still find myself on occasion, especially when the relationship that whoever I'm communicating with is most close. This is where I can be my most raw, my most real, my most vulnerable, my most wounded. These close relationships. This is where I find the hardest challenges are. So regardless, here we are, we're talking about when someone is presenting their concerns, their problems, their challenges in life, and all of a sudden we hear something that, checks our box or, pushes our own button. It's easy for the anger or for the emotional outburst to come. Where the mastery happens is where remembering to understand their point of view, their perspective, their story, their injury, whatever it is, we're seeking to understand that first. If we get caught up in the emotional self-defense game, or like one of the things that I find myself doing is I want to correct or fix their problem right away. And that is, I'm learning, some of the worst things we could be doing. See, one of my automatic behaviors is I want to fix your problem. And people come to me as a professional to fix their problems. Now, they come to me and they ask me to fix their problems. That's a different story. Sometimes people just want to be heard. It's one of the most powerful things that we could be doing is listening to somebody else. And I don't know if you ever had this experience. Many times when someone's just sharing the problem, sharing the news, sharing the issue, they come to their own solution. It's pretty funny, actually. We come to our own solutions simply by being in the presence of another, talking it out, and then when we have that allowance, meaning we feel that we're allowed to talk about it. We feel that it's okay to start sharing this. We open up. And now that someone's actually hearing us, someone's actually listening without the intent to comment or correct or fix, then the solution has a chance to arrive, because now we feel, we can let go of that vulnerability. We can let go of that intensity. We let go of whatever the apprehension is. And now that resistance is not there. Now answers show up. Solutions arrive. It's an automatic thing. Yet we're so indoctrinated. We're so inbred. We're so used to being resisted that we have to force our thought, force our opinion onto somebody else. And yet, if we actually get someone who's there and listening to us, the solutions arrive themselves. So I started this conversation kind of the opposite way, but let me talk about it again. Whenever we have an issue, we oftentimes want to share our issue with another so we can get clarity on what to do. We ask opinions, essentially. However, if that person is unavailable or unready because of stuff in their own life to be fully engaged or fully listening to you, there oftentimes can be apprehension or anger or some type of outburst that occurs. And vice versa. If someone comes at us with a problem because somehow we are in a position of authority, or we have helped them in the past, or we just happen to be a good listener, if we are not on our most ready and willing space, then we are seeking to solve versus seeking to understand first. We are ultimately being our own worst enemy by not allowing that person to have space. And then by also being our own worst enemy, we project our own perceptions, our own expectations, our own challenges on this person's problems, without fully investigating what it is that they're trying to say. Because oftentimes what we're really saying, or what the other person is trying to really say, is different than the words that are coming out. It's a weird thing that we all do. Essentially, we're, for lack of a better term, we beat around the bush to get to the point. And so oftentimes that's a safety mechanism, that's a protection mechanism, so that we actually can find out if this person is okay, are we comfortable enough, can we really relate the truth of our challenges, of our stories. And so if we can ultimately get to that point, then it can be helpful. So what we need to do really is seek first to understand. And if the person, if we're the ones sharing the story, if we're the ones needing the help, and then we recognize this person across from you that you're sharing this is not fully listening, not fully engaging, it's not their fault. There is some responsibility, I will say, okay, just to kind of talk about it for a second. We all need to be, in my opinion, we all need to be doing better at listening to others. However, that's not the normal in our society right now. And so if you're engaged in a problem and you're having something happening and the other person's not listening to you, you can't get upset at them. You can't be upset with them. You can then put yourself on pause, step back from a moment and go, hey, I can see there's something on your mind. Then there can now you are in a position of assisting them, just listening to understand. This is such a big tip. How do we get here? How do we get to this point of listening and seeking to understand first, so that then we can be understood? And in part, this is because of issues I noticed in my own life that I brought about because of my lack of listening, or my needing to explain in so many different ways that the other person wasn't ready to listen. It's the beginning of every Tuesday at 5 p.m. I do Transformation Tuesday. And how do we get here to this whole topic is I flip open the book I wrote. It's called Decode Your Pain. You go to the website, drkeving.com. That's where you can find it. In my bio, if you're on Instagram, is the link to my page. If you're on Facebook, you should already be one of my pages. You should be able to get to the book. And if you're on YouTube, connect with me on the drkeving.com. The whole point is here, I've randomly flip open. There's a lot of synchronicity to this. If you've never done this type of thing, you're missing out on some great information and knowledge that is at your fingertips. And I flip open. Today I flipped open to page 81. Right down at the bottom here, it says, recognize where you are your own worst enemy. And where that oftentimes is where we have our perceptions, our expectations of someone's problem that we put out on them. And vice versa. We allow our own problems to color how we see the world, when oftentimes our perception is not the only way forward. Our expectations are not the best ones. Our understanding of a scenario may not be in full. So we're just I'm requesting that we all pause for a moment and consider, and you've heard this statement, walk in somebody else's shoes. That means think about where they're coming from. We don't know the trauma or the challenges they've had in their lives, and I'm willing to bet everyone's trying to live their life the best way possible. Just we're all figuring out how to do that. That's why I wrote the book. That's why I talked about 10 years of my life, 10 years of my patient experiences, and how our subconscious mind, our body, is attempting to talk to our conscious mind all day long, even in sleep time when we're dreaming. What gives me any place of authority to talk about these things? I'm a doctor of chiropractic. I study the mind, the body, the nervous system. I study what affects us internally, what affects us externally. I'm a Reiki master in 2 different levels. I've studied other levels. I'm a Reiki Connective Healer certification. I'm an herbalist. I study detoxification and all these other things about how to supply the body with what it requires. So one of the biggest challenges I see in my life as a professional is that many people want healthcare, holistic healthcare. People are tired of using drugs and surgeries, realizing that's not the solution that gets you by in a pinch if necessary, but people are really wanting to take care of themselves in better and better ways. Yet sometimes the affordability of that is very complicated. So I'm going to speak about my sponsor for a moment. And the sponsor is Synergy Solutions. It's a product that I am beta launching. And what this is distance, remote, chiropractic quantum energy healing. And so if you're not sure what that is and what's going on, there'll be more information about that coming soon. I continue to put this out there because we're helping people. We are more than just these physical bodies. We have energy fields around us, chakras and auras and other fields that people are measuring. And yet, there's only some practitioners that understand how to influence these. Now, of course, you can go one-on-one with someone in their office, at in their facility, in their healing center, wherever that is. However, there's a whole world of this healing that can happen remotely. And what we're doing, what's so unique about this, is I have multiple doctors. So we're joining in every Wednesday at noon. That's Eastern time, 12 noon, New York City time. And we are working on your energy field together. Now, this has a profound exponential effect. I'm pulling the science together from the physicists and all the quantum mechanicists and all these other scientists, oologists out there. And what we're doing, we're bringing together these influential powers. And whoever's on the call, their energy fields combine, and we find the individual areas of interference to release them, and you live a better quality of life. This is measurable, it's specific, and it's reproducible, and we are doing it. So it's called Synergy Solutions. I want to thank everyone who's been joining us for that so far, all the doctors who've been joining in so far. It's been a delight. Just remind everybody, you can go to drkeving.com, check out all kinds of, there's free articles, there is free affirmation audio, there is a free positivity e-course. Just put your email in. Go to drkeving.com. This is where you get the book, Decode Your Pain. This is where you get access to different products that are, for purifying your water, for balancing your mind, for expanding your mind. There's actually programs that I include from other professionals that I've used. They're just phenomenal. And if you're wondering how to get into or involved in any type of one-on-one care with me, just go to drkeving.com. Go to the schedule or book your appointment, fill out the application, because I don't accept all new patients. I only accept a couple. And regardless of where you are in the world, you can work with me. This is what Synergy Solutions is all about. This is what the distance healing program that I have is all about. And of course, if you're looking for personal growth, I have some courses on that as well, all found at drkeving.com. You have to click around the page, find some different articles, different resources for yourself, different cool things to check out. This is about the body. This is about the mind. This is about your being. This is about your life. I don't know about you, but I want better quality, and I work on that each and every day. And by golly, the laws of attraction work. You just got to put them into play. You have to learn how to understand them. Blessings and best regards. I'm Dr. Kevin. Thanks for tuning in. Once again, Transformation Tuesday, every Tuesday, 5 p.m. Eastern Time. Thank you, and good night.